When survival is written in blood and betrayal hides in every shadow, one woman must unite rival tribes to face a threat that could erase their legacy forever. In a world where every sunrise could be their last, Lyra holds the key to transforming ancient enemies into a family bound, not by fear but by fire. The morning light crept over the jagged cliffs as Lyra stood at the cave's mouth, her silhouette framed against the blush of a new dawn. Around her the world stirred soft rustles of kin collecting, kindling, the sharp eyes of hunters scanning the far-off plains for the glint of movement. But beneath the ordinary rhythm of survival, an unease simmered in Lyra's heart, a premonition that today the ancient stones would remember more than mere footsteps. Life in the Paleolithic wasn't governed by clocks or schedules. It pulsed with the breath of the earth, each sunrise igniting a ritual as old as time itself. The fire in the heart of the cave, kept alive through the night by embers cradled in dried moss, was rekindled with practiced ease. For Lyra's band, this flame was more than warmth or light. It was a legacy, a symbol of their ancestors' first victory over darkness. As the embers flared into flame, Lyra's fingers brushed against a charred wooden spear. The weapon was crafted meticulously, its shaft smoothed with river stones, its point hardened in fire. She recalled the night her father Arian placed it in her hands, whispering tales of their forebears who had shaped wood and stone into tools of survival. But Orion was gone now, swallowed by the very forest that surrounded them. Lost during a hunting expedition shrouded in more questions than answers, the band, 30 souls bound by blood and necessity, divided for the day's tasks. Lyra joined the foragers, their path winding through dew-drenched grass towards a familiar grove, where berries clung stubbornly to thorny stems. Each step was deliberate, each gaze flicking towards the shadows, wary of predators both known and unseen. But today, the forest whispered a different song. Among the group was Debunked, whose hands could weave baskets tight enough to carry water without a leak. His laughter was a balm in the often harsh days, yet even his usual cheer was tempered by the odd stillness in the air. The trees, tall sentinels of countless seasons, seemed to watch them more closely. Lyra felt it too. They gathered roots and greens, their baskets slowly filling, yet every snap of a twig sent hearts leaping. Then came a sound that silenced even the birds, a low guttural growl, ancient and familiar, but it wasn't the growl that unsettled Lyra. It was the breath of wind that followed, carrying with it a scent foreign yet intoxicating, smoke. But not from their fires. The band returned to camp, urgency in their steps, only to find the elders gathered, their faces carved with worry. Rurik, the band's chief hunter and Arian's old friend, stood clutching an artifact few had ever touched, a fragment of red ochre, marked with spirals that spoke of omens. Another band, Rurik murmured, his voice graveled with age and suspicion. Their fires burned near. In Paleolithic life, another band could mean trade stories, shared hunts, or it could mean blood. Resources were scarce. A rival band could strip a territory of its game, leaving only hunger and death. Dusk approached. Lyra found herself by the fire, the faces of her kin illuminated in its golden glow. The evening rituals began, not of song or stories but of preparation. Spears were sharpened, hides tightened around shoulders, and eyes met with silent understandings. Night fell. The stars, ancient watchers, blinked down as Lyra lay awake, the forest's whispers curling into her mind. When sleep came, it was restless, haunted by visions of ochre spirals twisting into the shapes of unknown faces. The next morning a scouting party was sent. Lyra volunteered, as did Darren and 2 seasoned trackers. Their path led them across the river, where footprints in the softened mud told a tale of recent passage. But it wasn't just footprints they found. Charcoal markings on a stone outcrop depicted figures in a dance of spears and fire. Lyra's breath caught. The artistry was unfamiliar, yet the message was clear. This was no random band. These were the Namari, a tribe spoken of in hushed tones. Known for their raiding and their mastery of fire. Returning to camp, Lyra felt the weight of history pressing on her. Her father's disappearance, the Nomari's sudden proximity. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a convergence. By nightfall, the band convened under the starlit sky. Rurik's decision was swift. They could not outrun the Nomari, nor could they afford a confrontation. But perhaps, through ancient rites of Pali, bloodshed could be avoided. Lyra's heart burned. She knew the Nomari's reputation. Pali with them was a gamble of life and death. Yet within her, a flicker of resolve ignited. She would not let history claim another of her kin. The morning of the Pali dawned gray and cold. Lyra's grip tightened around the spear as she, Darren, Rurik, and 2 others began their journey toward the Nomari camp. They moved in silence, each step weighed with the knowledge that this encounter could alter their fate forever. The forest, so familiar and comforting in their daily lives, seemed alien now, its dense foliage hiding potential threats with every step. As they approached the designated meeting place, a clearing bordered by ancient boulders streaked with ochre and moss, the Nomari emerged from the shadows. Their leader, a tall, broad-shouldered figure named Kale, stood at the forefront, his dark eyes sharp and unyielding. Beside him, Nomari warriors held weapons that glimmered with a craftsmanship that spoke of years of refining techniques passed down through generations. The initial exchange was terse. Rurik, with his graveled authority, laid forth a proposal of shared hunting grounds and mutual aid. Kale listened, his expression unreadable, until his gaze settled on Lyra. Recognition flickered in his eyes. "You carry Aryan spear," Kale said, his voice a rumble that seemed to shake the very ground. "Did he not tell you of our agreement?" The revelation struck like a thunderclap. Lyra's heart pounded as Kale spoke of a secret pact between Orion and the Namari, a fragile truce sealed not with words, but with a promise of shared knowledge and resources. But Aryan had vanished, his fate unknown, and with him the balance between the tribes had teetered into chaos. Kale demanded proof of the band's willingness to uphold the pact. In a rare gesture of trust, Lyra offered her father's spear, placing it at Kale's feet. This act of vulnerability shifted the air. A tension released as murmurs rippled through both groups. For a moment, it seemed peace might prevail, until a sharp cry echoed through the clearing. A Nomari scout stumbled into view, blood staining his tunic, shouting of an ambush at the edge of the territory. Both bands turned to the source of the chaos, suspicion igniting once more. The attackers were not Nomari or Laras kin, but a third group, marauders driven by desperation. Nomads with no allegiance and everything to gain from the tribe's discord. The ambush was a calculated strike, designed to fracture alliances. Before they could solidify, what followed was a maelstrom. Spears clashed, arrows sliced through the air, and the earth was painted with the consequences of human frailty. Amidst the chaos, Lyra and Darren fought side by side, their movements a seamless dance of survival. The bond forged in daily toil now became a shield against the storming. The aftermath. Bodies lay scattered, among them Rurik, his life slipping away beneath the boughs of a tree older than memory itself. With his dying breath, he clasped Lyra's hand. "Unite them," he whispered, his eyes clouding but resolute, "or we all fall." Lyra's grief was a firestorm, yet within its blaze, a purpose crystallized. She stood amidst the wounded and weary, her voice cutting through the hush. "We fight not for territory but for survival. Together or not at all." Kale, bloodied yet unbroken, stepped forward. In his eyes, Lyra saw not a rival but an equal. The Nomari and Lyra's band, once poised at the precipice of war, now faced a choice: perish divided or endure, as one dawn returned with a fragile stillness. The merged camp stirred as Nomari and Lyra's band navigated the uneasy coexistence. Suspicion simmered beneath every glance, but necessity forced their hands into cooperation. The marauders had retreated, but their threat lingered like the scent of ash after a wildfire. Lyra, now recognized as a leader, took on the mantle with a fire that did not falter. Alongside Kale, she orchestrated the integration of the two groups. Daily tasks resumed: fire tending, foraging, and hunting, but now with an added layer of cautious collaboration. Darren became a bridge between factions, his easy smile disarming tensions while his hands wove baskets that carried the weight of new alliances. Yet, amidst this fragile harmony, a shadow crept closer. Evidence of a traitor emerged: a cache of supplies stolen and hidden, footprints leading away from camp, and whispered rumors of someone feeding information to the marauders. The seed of doubt took root. Lyra convened a council beneath the ancient oaks, demanding honesty. The air was thick with accusations until a name surfaced: sharp and unexpected Myra, a healer from Lyra's band, known for her knowledge of roots and remedies. Myra's motives unfolded in fragments. Her family, lost to famine seasons ago, had driven her to desperate bargains with the marauders in hopes of securing resources for her kin. But the deal spiraled into treachery. The discovery fractured the camp. Some demanded exile, others blood. But Lyra, standing beneath the watchful stars, chose a path carved by her father's forgotten pact: mercy, tempered by vigilance, spared, yet bound to the camp's survival. Her knowledge turned from betrayal to healing. The decision, bold and controversial, redefined leadership not as dominion but as unity born of understanding. As seasons shifted, so did the hearts of the merged tribe. Skills were exchanged, stories intertwined, and beneath the toil of daily survival, bonds were forged in the crucible of necessity. The marauders struck once more, this time met with a force that was not two fractured bands but a single entity, resilient and prepared. The battle was swift, decisive. The attackers were repelled not just by weapons but by a collective spirit unbroken by fear or division. When the dust settled, Lyra stood atop the ridge, the land stretching before her no longer a battlefield, but a home carved from unity. Beside her, Duran's hand found hers, a silent testament to a bond nurtured not in the ease of days but in the storm of adversity. The story of their ancestors was not etched in stone but lived in the breath of every dawn, in the songs sung by firesides, in the tools shaped by calloused hands. The Nomari and Lyra's band, once strangers divided by suspicion, now thrived as a single lineage destined to exarch their spirals of ochre on the canvas of time. As the final ember of the night's fire glowed, Lyra knew that the echoes of the first dawn would carry forward not as whispers of conflict, but as the rhythm of a tribe reborn.